Hello everyone, welcome to another City Daily. My name is Julia and today I wanted to share with you a few thoughts about a subject that we are often very reluctant to talk about. I want to offer some thoughts on the feeling of shame or the experience of shame, and to think with you about how our relationship with God can help us to resolve this well. A deep sense of shame is a struggle that I often come across in my work. Often it is hidden in all sorts of self-protective layers. So I often see people who are making superhuman efforts to compensate for a sense of shame about who they are as people. And these superhuman efforts often involve very high standards of needing to look perfect and live in a perfectly ordered home and to have perfectly behaved children and to do things to perfection. And these can often be attempts at managing an underlying sense of not being acceptable, not being lovable, not belonging. Shame has been described as like a prison, but a prison in which one thinks that one deserves to be. Shame often goes hand in hand with the worry that should anyone get close, then they will uncover all sorts of flaws and then reject. So people who experience a high sense of shame are often quite worried, quite anxious a lot of the time. So in the therapy world, approaches to shame are often about helping people to relate differently to this experience, and often they focused on helping people to build a more self-compassionate or kind way of being with themselves when feelings and thoughts of shame turn up. So people are encouraged to maybe think about how a very kind, caring, compassionate friend might respond to shameful memories or shameful experiences or shameful thoughts or beliefs about oneself. But what does the Bible have to offer us when it comes to this deeply painful feeling? And I think that a helpful starting point is to look at what the Bible and God says about us right from the start of our entrance into his story. This is how the creation of Adam and Eve is described in the Jesus Storybook Bible, definitely one of my favorite versions of the Bible. So God breathed life into Adam and Eve. When they opened their eyes, the first thing they ever saw was God's face. And when God saw them, he was like a new dad. "You look like me," he said. "You're the most beautiful thing that I've ever made." God loved them with all of his heart, and they were lovely because he loved them. So the Bible establishes our identity right at the beginning. We have been made to look like our Father, and we are lovely because he loves us. And this is the firm foundation in resolving our sense of shame. It's the truth of our identity and the transforming power of God's love for us. It's his love for us that makes us lovely. And the second aspect of our relationship with God that I want to comment on is that we have a God who sees us. He sees us and he chooses to love us. I love the fact that the very first person in the Bible to name God was a woman, Hagar, an Egyptian slave. And in Genesis 16, she names God as the one who sees me. So we have a God who has no illusions about us. He sees us in all our weaknesses and our unloveliness, and he chooses to love us. So the only eyes that count look on us with love. And God's love for us is what transforms our shame into glory. Glory being the opposite of shame. So it's not the shameful things about us that matter, and neither is it the good things about us and our best and shiniest achievements. The thing that matters about us most is our standing in God's eyes. It's not that we need to work on our self-esteem, but that we need to work on esteeming God more highly. Perfectionism has often been referred to as a 10-ton shield against feelings of unworthiness, of shame. I love the fact that in the Psalms we are told that the Lord is our shield. In Psalm 3 it says, "You, Lord, are a shield to me, my glory, and the one who lifts my head high." And in 2 Corinthians 3:18, Paul talks about how we, with unveiled faces, contemplate the Lord's glory and are being transformed into his image with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord. So, can I encourage any of you who are struggling with a sense of shame, not matching up, to remember that God says, "You're the most beautiful thing that I've ever made." And any of you who are trying to forge an identity based on your own self-worth and achievements, can I encourage you to put your hope fully in the God who sees you and loves you, and allow the glory of this to shine out to the world around you. So blessings to you all, and I encourage you to look to the Lord as your glory and the one who lifts your head high.